Okay, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, before I begin with this camp session, I want to face the east and give all praises, honor, and glory to our power, Yahweh, bahasham, Yahawashi, bahasham, Dash. Yahweh is the name of the Heavenly Father, who the world ignorantly calls God, and Yahawashi is the name of His only begotten Son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus. All right. Double honors to the apostles, the elders, Edgar and Millstone, who do well and teach well. Shalom to the hopeful elect and you Akim and your brothers pushing this word throughout the four corners of the earth about truth and sincerity, making your calling and election sure, man. And, again, as, men of the Lord, as hopeful members of the elect, right, as self-proclaimed prophets, we got to come out here and prophesy, right, as, that is the spirit and testimony of Yahawashi. The brothers that are out there, going out to the highways and the hedges, prophesying unto you so that you may know that His word is faithful and true, because via the prophecies is how we get validation, man. Jeremiah 33:3. We start off with that, and then I'll go ahead and mentioning what's happening right now in the world right now. That's gonna lead to World War III, which is biblical prophecy. So let's get the book of Ezekiel real quick before we jump into this 3:3, because that's the importance of prophesying, man. The importance of prophesying allows us to solidify our faith in the sense of these prophecies were written 2,000 years ago, man. And on top of that, how would they know that soon there was going to be a system where in order to buy and sell, you were going to need an RFID microchip, man. Either in the head or in the hand. And the crazy thing about it is, not even fucking 20 years ago, that was absurd. Like what? Like, what do you mean they're gonna put little RFID chips in our hands and in our heads, and furthermore in your head, that's gonna allow you to fucking manipulate the computer and move, right, be in the internet and body of things, right? That's what it's called, the body of things, the internet body of things. Like, that is so far out, man. But then it goes and shows you how Yahawashi had to lay it out, man, because really, only the scriptures would go ahead and prophesy some shit like that, man. Only the scriptures would go ahead and, let you know that was going to happen from way before. And that's why we believe through faith, man. The apostles and the elders at Great Millstone, they have the truth, man. They have this 100% doctrine. And not only just because of the Charagma, man, because you got the camps that teach that the Charagma is the RFID microchip, but also, all the other breakdowns and everything the brothers, the elders teach. They have precepts and, historical backing that, back it up. And this is why the scriptures say, study to show thyself approved, man. And on top of that, the elders actually go into the words. Hey, give me 1 second, Akim. I'm gonna tie in my stand. It's not loose. 1 second. I'll get back into it. Way more stable. Come. Just going to it. It's a little windy out here. It's fresh, man. All right. So let's get it real quick. So I can hold in the sign right now. The 12 tribes chart, man. Israel. You so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, man, you have the ability to repent. You have, the promises, the kingdom ahead of you. But, you have the ability to make it through Jacob's trouble. But again, Jake don't give a fuck about shit like that, man. They just too busy being stuck in the world, man. So real quick, let's get this in the book of Ezekiel, chapter 33. And verse 33. Started off. This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 33 and verse 33. And when this cometh to pass, lo, it will come, then shall they know that a prophet has been among them. Right? Talking about what? The prophecies. So, seeing World War III is at hand and seeing World War III is actually truly getting ready to escalate, what does that make the elders and the apostles, all the way down to, Abba Bivens in them, man? It makes them the true men that were sent by Yahawashi, and what? It makes this word true, because when you go into the scriptures, it says that once this word is preached into all nations, then shall the end come. Let me go ahead and bring that out. And the reason why I mentioned that is, Christianity, that shit's been You know, it goes back, you know, to Roman Catholicism. You know, it's a branch out of Roman Catholicism. And what happened back then? You know, Esau Edom, he killed, enslaved people, you know, and enslaved folks for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. Salaki, not thousands, Salaki. Hundreds and hundreds of years, you know, this word being pushed. Everybody knows about Christianity. You know, you got TVs, evangelists, you know, billions of followers, not even millions, you know, billions and billions of followers of Christianity, you know. And even back then and during the time of, you know, the Indian slave trade and the transatlantic slave trade, you know, if Gad, you know, and the Northern Kingdom tribes, they didn't worship, you know, Cedric Borgia, then what? Which was Cedric Borgia was tied to Christianity, then their whole families would be killed. So what did they have them do? You know, this goes all the way to, you know, the Southern Kingdom as well too. You know, if you weren't in the, you know, if you didn't worship, you know, Cedric Borgia, they'll go ahead and what? And kill your family, man. You know, they'll off, you know, your father in front of you. You know, they'll make you bow down to, you know, that picture or that, you know, guy of Cedric Borgia, which is not the image of the mark. You know, it's not the image of the beast. All right, I actually have that printed out right here. You know, this is not the image of the beast, but this is the wicked the Bible speaks of, man. You see, and the reason he has horns on him is because the devil, the word devil means to be, you know, to deceive. And this is how he deceived the world into worshiping him, man. You know, he painted the pictures and the likenesses of this image when he took the book of the law, you know, during the, you know, the sack of Jerusalem. You know, so that's what had happened, you know, and then what? Through iconoclasm is how he gained power and, you know, he gained power and how you say it, they noticed him, man. You know, that's how they noticed him to be, you know, a man of strength, and that he was a sign of, you know, power, how he took us down. But nonetheless, it was all biblical prophecy that was going to happen, man. You know, Esau, Edom, he had to come into power because what? The biblical prophecy that was going to come a little horn, you know, that comes from, you know, that's in the book of Daniel, that was going to go ahead and rule at the end, you know, and that was going to be what? America. And it stems off the main horn, which is, you know, Britain, right? This is why America, you know, and it's also, you know, it is also prophesied that, you know, his wound would be healed after 1,000 years. You know, after the Byzantine Empire, what happened, the Renaissance, you know, and the Byzantine Empire only lasted 1,000 years. So after 1,000 years, he was going to be unleashed. That's in the book of Revelations. And what? He was going to rule again, and he was going to follow after the first beast, which was what? The Roman Empire. This is why America has so much likenesses to the Roman Empire, all the way down to the, you know, gymnasiums, the coliseums, right? The football, you know, football stadiums, baseball stadiums, so on and so forth, right? All these, you know, different forms of entertainment, you know, all the, you know, Moism that happens here in America, Babylon the Great, all the wickedness that's being pushed out here and promoted out here in Babylon the Great, the accepting of eating pork and all these different abominable foods like lobster, shrimp, crab, and, you know, so on and so forth, man. All this shit that looks wild, the accepting of it, this all goes back to, you know, ancient Rome. But the worst thing about America is that it doesn't just embody, you know, the wickedness of Rome. It embodies the wickedness of Babylon the Great, you know, or so like of Babylon, of Assyria, of these different captivities that we were all in, you know, Egypt, what was that other one, Nineveh, you know, so on and so forth, man. You know, this is why America is so bad, and it's so, you know, it's way much worse than how it is in our other captivities, man. But real quick, yup, this is the book of Matthew, chapter 24 and verse 13. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. Verse 14, and this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come. So what? The elders, you know, this truth is, you know, fairly new. You know, only came out, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, like in 1980s, around the 80s, around there. So this, you know, and then once this truth had really came out and, you know, started blowing up, you know, via the YouTube, when the YouTube era went, you know, crazy. And right now we're getting ready to come to the end of the YouTube era, because what? Esau Edom is coming down with censorship. This is, you know, now you have World War III on the line, the Karagma, you know, brothers waking up at a high rate, Christianity and these different, religions losing, you know, their power and their strength. Because what? the Israelites and the elect of Israel, are out there, prophesying, waking up the elect. This word, this truth, this gospel of the kingdom is being preached unto all the world, to all nations. That's why you're seeing the end manifesting itself so quick, man. Because what? Jake and you other nations, this is the truth. Christianity, Roman Catholicism, and these other religions that have been promoted amongst our people, man. They have been pushed upon our people for years and years and years, man. And guess what? Nothing has ever happened to deliver us, man. Nothing has ever gotten us any further in the sense of this wicked kingdom going down. But once the apostles, the elders at Great Millstone, they woken up, the Israelites, they had woken up. What is now happening, man? The end is coming quickly, man. We're almost out of here, bro. And this is what I wanted to jump into, man. I wanted to go into how Iran, called and declared, war on on America, man, and Israel. And that's what's gonna lead to what? World War III. How is that going to lead to World War III? Because we back up, not we, but America backs up Israel, man. This in the book of, and I'm gonna get it, Jeremiah. Showing you, man, that prophecies, through the prophecies is how we get understanding, man. And also get that in the book of 2nd Ezra, the 16th chapter, going to the Carmenians, which is going to the Iranians. And that prophecy, man. So this is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 50, and verse 40. Give me 1 second. And I'm going to start at verse 41. Behold, a people shall come from the north, and a great nation, and many kings shall be raised up from the coast of the earth. They shall hold the bow and the lance. They are cruel and will not shew mercy. Their voice shall roar like a sea, and they shall ride upon horses, every one put in array like a man to the battle against thee, O daughter of Babylon. This is talking about America. The Babylon's talking about America, and these other nations are talking about what? That's the book of Revelations, going into how the beast shall hate the whore. NATO and the EU, they're coming up against America. Verse 43, the king of Babylon hath heard the report of them, and his hands waxed feeble, his hands waxed feeble, anguish took hold of him, and pangs as a woman in travail. Because what? The thing about, with these other nations starting to use their own currency, Esau doesn't like that, because he doesn't have any, control in that, right? Because the thing is when, what's that one man, Hussein, I forgot, it's something to that effect. It's Hassad Hussein, something to that effect. He tried to go ahead and, make his own currency and use his own currency to buy and sell. And what had happened? They assassinated him. Why? Because Esau, Edom doesn't want these other nations to use their own currency. They want the dollar to be, the main, strength and focal point. But they know that that's getting ready to come to an end. So what do they have to push and move forward with quick? The New World Order system. Verse back at 43. The king of Babylon hath heard the report of them, and his hands waxed feeble, anguish took hold of him, and pangs as a woman in travail. And another thing too is because Esau, Edom, the reason he's waxing, feeble and is scared is because they can't go ahead and just, start a war with Russia and China. They just can't go ahead and start, going against these other countries, because what had happened to, Esau, and he knows it. These elites, their military, their kingdom is waxed, so thin and so weak that he knows that these other nations, they're stronger. And real quick before I read further on, I got a personal testimony. I was hanging out with the Jake in the World. He's an old friend of mine, from, I'm talking about from the neighborhood when we were like 15, not even so like even younger than that. We're like 6, 7 type B, like 6, 5, 8 years old. And well, now he's in the military. I hung out with Jake, he came down, like, let's go get something to eat, bro, whatever. I was just, chopping it up with him, asking him questions about the Marines, because he's in the Marines. And technically it got to the point where he told me that a general or someone high up in, the Marines, I guess just in his barracks or whatever. I don't know how that shit works, but he said a general. So, if you brothers know how that shit works, well, that's what he said. He said the general told them that they're getting ready to prepare for a new war, coming 2026, because he's predicting, the general is predicting in 2027 is when they're going to invade, because that's how weak the dollar is going to be in that time. And then another thing too, he said that they have the ability to spy on all these other, countries, China, Russia. And he said that when he was watching them, because they were watching them and their drills and they're working out, he said that Russia and them, they're on point, man. That they're not fucking around. They're on point. They're working hard. And he's just like, damn, man, the people were going up. It's kind of like, you're kind of like, you don't even box and you're watching Floyd train and that's your next fighter, man. It's kind of like that, because these Russians, it's all men. It's all men. There's no women. America, they got women and shit. Yeah, they can be, strong or whatever. They can work out more than the average Jake here and be stronger than the average, Southern Kingdom, or just Jake in general. But the thing is these Russians, for the most part, they don't have no women. So overall, they're just stronger. On top of that, he said that they're active. They're active. Meaning that, they're constantly getting new people. And he said that America, man, people don't even want to sign up for this shit. People don't even want to even go to war. You got people on TikTok talking about, I'm not gonna fight these elites wars. On Twitter, I'm not gonna fight these elites wars. So it goes to show you, man, that hey, these elites, they're scared, man. They're feeble that these other nations are getting, strong and rising up, and that's in the scriptures too, which I'm gonna bring out in the book of Joel. And saying to themselves that, hey, man, we're strong now. Let's go ahead and fucking nuke these dudes. Let's go in there and fucking take these fools down. We're stronger than them now. Look at them promoting, look at their country. They're promoting, Moism. Everybody there is fucking gay. Testosterone levels are at the lowest. They're men. Their own people are coming up against them. Hey, man, they're so divided. The dollar's collapsing. Everybody's seeing, Esau for who he is. Hey, man, we got to come in and take him down now. That's how these other nations are feeling, and that's biblical prophecy. This is why you got to get into prophecy, because via prophecy is how we know that we're correct, man. We're on the right path. We don't care what your people say. We don't care if you believe or not. We don't care if, you think you have the truth. At the end of the day, prophecy is what's going to win. You think that, John 3:16 is talking about the whole world and, everybody in it. Well, keep thinking that, man. At the end of the day, again, prophecy is going to win. And obviously you don't go into words. You don't study like that. You just read it verbatim, the world, and not even with context. You don't know what you're reading, bro. And the reason I say that is because these prophecies is what's gonna allow us brothers to win, man. Then shall be known who are my chosen. And also, I opened it up with Ezekiel 33 and verse 33. Then shall I know that a prophet has been among them. And what's the importance of being a prophet, man? The prophets are the 144,000, man. They're a part of that number that's gonna be a leading governing body in the kingdom to come. Real quick, let's get the book of Amos, chapter 3. You brothers know where I'm going with this. This is the book of Amos, chapter 3, and verse 6. Shall a trumpet be blown in the city, and the people not be afraid? Shall there be evil in the city, and the Lord had not done it, right? Because the Most High, He controls good and evil. The scriptures say that I, the Lord, create, I, the Lord, form light and darkness. I, the Lord, do, create, evil and good, man. I, the Lord, do all these things. The Most High is the one that's in control of all this, regardless of what you people think. You think you're worshiping, Shaitan and, these different, deities and gods. Really, man, the Most High just has you in your hand, just allowing you to, receive your, your constellation, so that when shit's the fan and it's time for you to call upon your God, you're going to see that there's going to be no one looking out for you. And that's in the scriptures, that's in the book of Judges. Call upon your gods and see if they will deliver you in those days. That's why the Most High, He allows you to worship these different, idols and deities. But, you'll get blessed on this side, because you're praying, really all you're doing is praying to the world. The scriptures say that if you pray to the world, guess what? The world will hear you. But if you pray to Yahawashi, Yahawashi, then what? The Lord hears you. So you people, you're really just getting blessed on the left-hand side, regardless of what deity you're worshiping. The thing is what? When it's time to go ahead and, for the Lord to, really come down and touch this place, what do you think is going to happen when you call upon, your false deity? The Lord knows what you're doing. This is why you're going to go hide in the dens. This is why you're going to go hide in the caves and different bunkers, because what? The scriptures say that your own sins shall condemn you in that day, in that time. And what? It's going to be what? All the different gods and different idols that you've been worshiping, man. So let's go back to Amos 3 and verse 2. Verse 7. Surely the Lord power will do nothing, but he revealeth his secret unto his servants, the prophets, man. So the elect, they have what? The prophecies. The elect, they have this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Because the elect don't just got the prophecies. You got Jake that knows the prophecies, but Jake don't be moving with wisdom. You know, when you don't have wisdom, guess what? You're not going to make it. Because wisdom is synonymous to the comforter. Wisdom is synonymous to the Rakakudash. So if you don't got wisdom, guess what? You're not going to make it coming into Jacob's trouble. You know, this is why a lot of people, you may have some breakdowns, but you're still wearing fringes everywhere you go. You know, you still, you're still being, over righteous Jake or a wicked ass Jake. You know, the brothers that have wisdom, man, like the elders, brothers in the truth, the men above us, great millstone, really, you can see how they move with with this truth, man. They're moving with wisdom, man. They're not over righteous, and they not, they're not even wicked, so to say. Of course, brothers, go off and, things, life or whatever, hey, at the end of the day, Apostle Paul said that what I wish I do not do, that's what I do, and that what I wish I do not, but it's not of me, it's the sin that dwelleth within me, right? Us brothers, we understand that, we go off, the law, we go off, we break the law every day. At the end of the day, the law can't save you, but what? Brothers move with wisdom, we're not overly wicked, right? And we're not overly, righteous. Because if you're overly righteous, you're going to destroy yourself, man. The Most High is not dealing with you, right? So it's a balance. The scriptures say a false balance is an abomination to the Most High. So you got to know how to move in this truth, man, with wisdom. And then Isaiah 33:6. How are you even going to make it through Jacob's trouble? Wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times. And the hope of salvation is their power, man. So you got to have this wisdom, this knowledge, these precepts in order to make it through Jacob's trouble. If you don't have them right, well, guess what? You're not making it, bro. So real quick, let's go back to Jeremiah 50 and verse 15. 43. The king of Babylon had heard the report of them, and his hands waxed feeble. Anguish took hold of him, and pangs as of a woman in travail. So you see Esau Edom, he's shook because he knows that what? America's not as strong as it used to be. And these other nations are now, it's kind of like, perfect way to put it, man. It's like a boxer that, he became a champion. And when he became a champion, he got this big old check. And instead of continuing to train, continuing to keep that throne, continuing to, stay in power, all he did was party, drink, go out and, kick it with females, never hit the gym, never train. And guess what? That next up top dog is coming up, training, trying to beat you. And, it's time for you to fight him. It's like, fuck, bro, I haven't been doing what I needed to do, bro. I've been slacking. I haven't been, training. I haven't been going in. That's why that's why Esau Edom now is scared, because he knows that his time has come. So real quick, verse 43, verse 44. Behold, he shall come up like a lion from the swelling of Jordan into the habitation of the strong. You see, into the habitation of the strong. But I will make them suddenly run away from her. And who is a chosen man that I may appoint over? It's like. But I will make them suddenly to run. Behold, he shall come up like a lion from the swelling of Jordan unto the habitation of the strong. But I will make them suddenly run away from her. And who is a chosen man that I may appoint over her? For who is like me? And who will appoint me the time? And who is that shepherd that will stand before me? Real quick. Therefore, hear ye the counsel of the Lord that he hath taken against Babylon, and his purpose, that he has purposed against the land of the Chaldeans. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them. And who is the least of the flock? The least of the flock is talking about, Israel, the small hatters. They're going to cause America to go into World War III. And this is why Iran had just declared war against, Israel and America. So Iran, you had a podcaster say that, some guy that, he's an economist. He said that technically Iran only, is kind of, talking down on, Israel and saying they're going to, start war with Israel because they're closer geographically than they are to, America. Not realizing that, no, it's not because of that. It's actually because it's biblical. It's prophesied that, these other nations were going to start, war with, Israel. And Israel was going to what? Israel was gonna cause America to go to war, and because what? America backs up Israel. You know, if you watch the news, if you watch what's going on, you know, you had people talk about, you know, why Israel, you know, and you know, just even mentioning, you know, Israel in this camp session, man, you know, it's dangerous. You're gonna have my camp session, you know, flagged. You're gonna have me, you know, you're gonna have, you know, they're gonna have, you know, us brothers demonized, bro. So yeah, but you know, fuck it. At the end of the day, man, it is what it is. We gotta, you know, bring out the truth. This is what's happening right now in real time. The least of the flock is gonna draw what? America out to World War III. So real quick, let's get this in. Let's reread that, Jeremiah 50 and 45. Therefore, hear ye the counsel of the Lord that he had taken against Babylon, and his purposes, that he hath purposed against the land of the Chaldeans. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them. So this is what's happening right now, man. The Most High is getting ready to draw out, you know, the Most High is getting ready for Israel to draw America to war, man. Verse 46, at the noise of the shaking of Babylon, the earth is moved and the cry is heard among the nations. Because what? This is what's going to start World War III, man. You know, and once World War III, you know, starts, it's not, you know, we're not fighting with guns and, you know, fucking, you know, grenades and, you know, helicopters anymore. You know, we're fighting with what? We're fighting with nukes, you know, ICBMs. You know, we didn't have that before, so it's way different now. So let's go to Joel chapter 3 and keep going into this, man, because it's a beautiful thing that this is happening, man, because what? We need this to happen. The end's on the way. And what, you got Jake out here just living it up, thinking shit's sweet, thinking shit's cool, but just wait till shit's the fan. You know, you already had a big power outage right there, you know, in San Francisco. Just wait till the Most High touches, you know, our cities, man, and, you know, the power goes out. You can't get no access to water, no access to food. You know, you can't, you know, do what what you're able to do, you know, military out on the streets, you know. So just wait till the Most High really, you know, attacks this place, man. So real quick, this is the book of Joel. And I'm gonna start at verse, I'm gonna start at chapter 3. And I'm gonna just get straight to the point. This is Joel chapter 3 and verse 9. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war. Wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. So that's what's happening, man. You know, these other nations and, you know, and America is also getting prepared to start for war, man. You know. So real quick, verse 10. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say I am strong. And that's what's happening in real time. The weak are saying they're strong, man. This is why what? Iran and these other, you know, smaller nations, they're what? They're calling shots at America. They're saying, hey, man, you know, we can go to war with you. You know, they're coming out and saying, yeah, we are going to nuke you. Yeah, we are going to, you know, invade your soils. We got sleeper cells there. You know, these smaller nations that America used to pick on, you know. And they're, you know, now you got the, you know, the ones that, you know, were getting picked on saying that, hey, you know, we're going to pick on you, America. And what's happening? America's, you know, actually shook now. They actually, you know, feel some type of way because what? Russia and China, which is biblical prophecy as well, they are a guard unto them, man. Meaning they're like a bigger brother, they're like their pops, man. So Iran is calling all these shots. You know, these smaller nations are calling all these shots that are against America. And what's happening? Russia and China are there like, you can't do nothing, bro, because what? I'm backing them up. And Russia and China, what? They know through the spirit, you know, they're elites, that they're stronger than America. You know, their military is stronger. You know, their whole, you know, workforce, you know, their people out there are naturally just stronger, bro. In Russia and in China, man. I mean, I wouldn't say China, but, you know, Russia for the most part, you know, their people are naturally just, you know, for a fact that their testosterone naturally is through the roof. They don't promote no Moism. They don't have no weird, you know, shit that be happening like it is over here in America. And you can see the outcome of what happens when, you know, America follows after the ways of, you know, these other deities, man, these idols, because they're following after the ways of Ham, man, pushing that Moism, that do as thou will spirit, you know, that Alistair Crowley bullshit. Guess what? That all goes back to the Egyptians, you know, and they're seeing the outcome of that, man. America's through. You know, the dollar's collapsing. People are in the worst, you know, state that they have ever been in. You know, people are getting ready to bug out. They're just, you know, it's just a matter of time before, you know, America, you know, pops out in full, you know, rights, you know. So real quick, verse 10, be your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say I am strong. Verse 11, assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones not to, or like it cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Yahweh. Let the heathen be awakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat. Where's the valley of Jehoshaphat when you go into that word? It's talking about the valley of judgment, man. That's going into the Middle East, right? Because that's where the war is going to really start. That's where World War III is going to really pop off. For there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come ye, so like it come, get you down, for the press is full, the fat's overflown, for the wickedness is great. And what the scriptures say, you know, that wickedness has reached into the heavens, man. So, hey, it's just a matter of time before the Most High goes and just judges this place, man. This place is on its way out. You know, this place, it's all the wickedness you see, man, it's just for a moment, man. Let Jake have it. Let these people have it. Let them think they're right. Let them think they're good. Let them think that they can just do whatever the fuck they want to do and do as they will. Let them just have it, bro. They don't know what's really happening. They don't really know what's going on in the world, man. They don't know. Let them have it. At the end of the day, if they're not truly in this thing, if they're not in this, you know, if they're not even in this thing, to be Salaki, if they're not even in this thing, don't even worry about it, man. At the end of the day, they're either going to be part of the 1/3, which you have no control over, or they're just going to be 2/3, man. At the end of the day, just make your calling and election sure, man. You know, give diligence to make your calling and election sure. Put it on, you know, hey, the scriptures say, you know, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. At the end of the day, no one can save you. So don't have that mindset of, you know, someone coming down here to save you. Do this thing for you. You know, come into the highways and the hedges, make your camp sessions, make your lessons, study, grow in this thing, so that you can be straight coming into Jacob's trouble. You know, you don't want to rely on nobody, because what? That's in Matthew the 24th. That's in Matthew the 25th chapter. You had those that didn't have enough oil in them, you know, those foolish virgins, and we're looking for those that really, truly, you know, were sincere and had this truth. Then what? They were looking for him, for them, you know. Verse 13 or verse 14, multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of the Lord is near in the valley of decision. The sun and the moon shall be darkened, and the stars shall withdraw their shining. The Lord also shall roar out of Zion, and utter his voice from Jerusalem. The heavens and the earth shall shake, but the Lord Yahweh will be the hope of his people and the strength of the children of Israel. So shall ye know that I am Yahweh your power, dwelling in Zion, my holy mountain. Then shall Jerusalem be holy, and there shall no strangers pass through her anymore. Because after World War III is done, and the nukes are sent out to this place, and this place is cooked, cleaned off the earth, what's going to happen? The elect, after they get delivered, you know, because we're going to get delivered, I don't want to Zafu be at that number, via a chariot, those UFOs, and we're going to get beamed up into the kingdom, not into the kingdom just yet, Salaki. We're going to get beamed up into a chariot while this place is getting cooked up, and once it's done being, you know, burned, you know, it's only going to take the Lord an hour to really, you know, toast this whole bitch down. We're going to come down and, you know, set order and set up the kingdom here on earth, man. So, you know, after that, the new covenant is going to be established. The brothers aren't going to be going off no more. We're going to be dwelling in full righteousness. You know, there's not going to be a need of, there's not going to be no need of, really, you know, no fringes anymore, which we technically don't even need them now. We just, you know, rehearse the righteous acts. You know, we're going to be, you know, perfect in the sight of Yahawashi. So we're not going to, you know, brothers aren't going to need no fucking medicine, no fucking, you know, advice, no nothing, man. You know, we're going to be perfect, man. We're going to be good all the way around. No ailments, you know, no lack of women, planets. Brothers going to have the kingdom, man. This is what we're looking for, man. This is what we're looking forward to. We're not looking forward, you know, gaining, you know, glory on this side. Shit's vain. Look at the folks that, you know, have risked their life to gain glory on this side, like these celebrities, these different, you know, football stars, you know, basketball stars, baseball stars, any sport, man. And put it in any fucking sport. How much they sacrifice, you know, skateboarding, man. Look at that shit. Fucking dying, damn near dying, you know, fucking. And that goes with all sports, really, you know, just fucking getting, you know, damn near, you know, risking your life just to get a little bit of glory. And then after all, you know, no one truly remembers you. You know, no one remembers that, you know, famous football player from the fucking 1960s, 50s, 40s, that famous baseball player from the 30s that was playing for the Wild Bears. Right? And the kingdom of heaven, brothers, you know, us Akim, us hopeful elect members of the elect, our fame is going to be 24/7. We're never going to have a loss of, you know, fame. And really, as the days go by, and remember, this is eternal. This is for, forever, the true definition of forever and ever, man. This is the true definition of forever and ever. Brothers, your fame, your glory is gonna be, maximized the more that we come into, the kingdom, the more the kingdom is being established year after year after year. Because guess what? The 144,000, they're gonna stay the 144,000. But what? Our people and ourselves, we're gonna be what? Populating. The scriptures say that, a little one shall become 1,000, right? Talking about, how much we're gonna be populating in the kingdom. So, there's not gonna be 144 and 1,000 in the kingdom, 144 and 2,000 and 3,000, nah. It's gonna be 144,000 and the rest just, populating. So what's happening to us? Our value is just increasing and increasing and increasing and increasing on high levels, man. Real quick, let me pick up my poster real quick. So yeah, man, this is that incorruptible crown that the scriptures speak about. So like, give me 1 second. This is that incorruptible crown that the scriptures speak about, man. And let no man take it, man. Let no man take that crown. But at the end of the day, you gotta do what's needed of you to do to make it into the kingdom. You gotta do what is needed of you to do to make it into a cherry. You got the softball, you got the softball field packed. You got the folks out there having a party in front of me. You got all types of shit happening. And, at the end of the day, these people were not blessed with this word. They were not blessed with this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding in order to even fucking have an opportunity to fucking even get that, man. We got blessed heavily so hard to the point that brothers don't even know, you don't even know what you got blessed with, bro. So it'll behoove you, man, to do this thing to the utmost, to your, to the best of your ability, bro. The elder, Mahalaya out there, GMS Kansas City, he always says, man, to put your best foot forward. Because at the end of the day, we're still what? In this flesh, man. This flesh gets weak, this flesh, tires out. This flesh, it's on and off. So we gotta keep making sure that we're pushing, man. Keep pushing, going out to the highways and the hedges. Doing this work, tired. Doing this work, sad. Doing this work happy. Doing this work, whenever you get the chance, man. Putting, time to your Yahawashi, man. Because at the end of the day, we see what? The prophecy's manifesting, man. The end is manifesting. Soon, so like